Thank you everyone again for joining. I'll let Penny start off and do the housekeeping and introduce everyone, and we'll go from there.
Hi everybody. So there are going to be some people coming in a little bit late, I'd say, Saturday night, and a lot of people seem to have a lot of presentations happening at the moment Saturday night, so that's all fine. So tonight we're just going to go through exactly, what is the QMS, how does it work. Graham Turner is the author of the QMS, who was just talking then on the screen, and then we've got Tim Dwyer who's going to join us also and have a little chat to you about a few things and how this works. I'm sort of part of the STEA team in many different ways. We've got Michelle as well as part of admin. I think we're all sort of multitasking at the moment, trying to get everything together. It's a lot of work behind the scenes, so bear with us. A lot of changes are coming along, and we've got some exciting things happening as well. A new app coming in that we are trialing. I'm not sure exactly how's that's going. Graham, you can talk about that. And yeah, it's just a nice way, I think, to do something peacefully. For me, it's an option to, find something that's lawful, peaceful, but also gives us law and order and some structure and options, and it gives us a voice. So my way of explaining this, a lot of people say to me, what is the QMS? I'm like, well, do you trust your government? No, that's 90% of the time the answer right now, right? So I say, do you have a voice? Do we have a referendum in Australia? No, we don't. So this is the way that you can have your voice, have the referendum, have transparency, none of these secret national cabinets that, apparently is being looked at, but where is it? Where is it? Everything takes so long, right? If you have transparency from the beginning, I think there's more trust. And if you can have a voice, we have more options of building those policies and ideas that we all have every day. And we're looking at the news and everything happening around us, and we're like, why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? And we know why. It's for control. So this way we're self-governed. For me, that appeals to me. So that's why I was attracted to this whole prospectus that Graham Turner put together. And I'm sure that, a lot of us here are interested for him to explain exactly how that's going to happen without anyone being able to corrupt it in any way. So I wouldn't have any clue how to explain that to you. So Graham, I'm going to go on to you to, give us a more structured explanation of how this all works.
Sure, no problem. Okay, so the Quantum Management System, or the QMS, is a system that is designed for the people to have a voice. So basically, we can propose policy in it, we can add weight to policy in it, we can be part of the testing and measuring phase if that's within our field of expertise within that policy, and everything will be transparent, so it'll be put up for the public to view, so we can see how the policies are developed and decision-making processes are determined. And at the end of the day, we get a referendum vote, which we now have the voting app, as Penny mentioned before, that we're trialling at the moment. It's actually very good, and there's a couple of advances that need to be made with it, just to sort of tighten a few things up. And working with a lot of what we've already got, it looks like we may have a lot of the pieces that we needed to put this together. Exciting news is that Wayne Glue has been working on a constitution for us. So I'll have that within the next week to review, and he's hoping he may be able to join us next week, which would be fantastic, and talk a bit about what he's proposing. There's a lot happening at the moment, so we've been very busy in the background. Of course, with websites undergone a lot of development, we're starting to get more promotional material together and videos out there. So between, I know Penny and I know Tim and Michelle, we're all absolutely flat out. There's other members on the steering team as well, and some of them may be able to join us tonight. Ross Newton, he was in last week. Unfortunately, can't make it tonight. He's actually getting a night out, something that we here in Victoria are not used to these days, forgotten all about. But yeah, he opportunity to go out with friends, and I can't really say I blame anyone for wanting to do that in this day and age and this time. It's an honour to work with all of the people that I'm working with, and it really is quite a humbling experience going through this process with them, and seeing this actually coming to life, and all of the parts falling into piece, into the right place. So it's an amazing time. It's very exciting for us. We know a lot of people are scared out there. We're too busy to be scared, and we know that we've got a really great solution at hand. It's just a matter of, we need more people, we need more help, and we need more volunteers, and we'll be there a lot quicker than a lot of people would think. But anyway, there's exciting news to come. A lot of it I'll have to leave till next week in deep, or I've given you little snippets of what's going on, but there'll be more detail when I've sort of had a chance to speak more with Wayne and look at some of the other information that's come through. And of course, we've had our steering team meetings and that sort of thing. We're also about to start asking for voluntary donations to help us with aspects of what we're doing, and again, we'll go over that throughout. But we're not ready to set up quite yet, but we're on the verge of that, because we do need to start fundraising to get certain aspects of this working properly and moving forward, especially with the app development. We've been granted the Australian and New Zealand rights to the app that we're evaluating at the moment, and on the face of it, everything's just coming together really nicely. Well, not as fast as we'd like, but the timing's been amazing. It's coming together just in time. So I'll hand back to Penny, and she can introduce our next steering team member. And thank you. Later on, we'll have a bit of a question phase, so we'll get the steering team members through. So if you guys have questions, save them for them, put your hand up, and we'll bring you into the meeting to ask a question at that stage. All right, that's all for me. Thanks, Pen, for the moment.
Thanks, Graham. So, Tim, I'm going to go on to you. I don't know about yourself, but I've had a lot of questions this week because there's a lot going on in the world, in our country, about children and school and things like that. I know I had to pass on your email to someone today that was having a lot of questions, that lives in your area, and you're in South Australia, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, just how are things in where you are?
Well, South Australia is very interesting, whereas they've got everybody walking around wearing masks. We've got no cases, but everybody's still got the mutated muzzle on. There are a lot of people who are now looking at homeschooling. It's different in each state. For those in South Australia, you do have to have the child still registered at a school, and you do have to go through the process of getting permission from the government. Drives me nuts. However, what can simplify it a bit now, we know a little bit about this from one aspect. We are working with our daughter in organising for her to homeschool her daughter. And in Queensland, there is an organisation called Accelerated Christian Learning, or they call it the PACE system. Now, some Christian schools use that system anyway, but you can pay an annual fee. It's about $800. And then, or a joining fee of $800, sorry, and then you pay a couple $100 per semester for the books and the literature and so forth. And they will help you, if you're in a state where you've got to get permission, they will help you go through all the application forms and give you the curriculum to put in there, so you don't have to try and work out some sort of curriculum that's already done. And the other thing, what we're finding is there are a lot of teachers who are saying, well, I'm out of this. I'm not participating in this experiment. And so now what the teachers are doing is, some of them are now joining forces and saying, well, I'm a maths teacher, I'm a science teacher, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a grade 5, I'm a whatever. And they're offering their curriculum assistance in the teaching curriculum for, just a few dollars per lesson, so as that then you can go onto one of their Zooms and join in on that class if that suits your children. So what we now have is an education system outside the education system, which is a good thing. And for those of you, if anybody's got children who you're thinking of taking them out of school and homeschooling them, understand that there is certain parts of the curriculum that you do have to complete. There's no doubt about that. But part of the school curriculum could be such things as photography or music, or welding or metal fabrication or whatever, cookery. Science is a good one, because kids can learn a lot in science from the ingredients of products that you would normally have in your house, right? And so it will take a commitment if you're looking at it, but you're not going to be sitting there all day, every day, teaching your children. Children seem to learn more at home in a shorter period of time than they do being stuck in the box at school. All right. And the good thing about the PACE system, if your child is ahead on mathematics, but tough on English, English is really hard for them, they will start them at this level of mathematics and this level of English, and they will come through. So it's not at a year 8 level or a year 5 level across the board. Because some kids are at a year 8 level in English and a year 6 level in maths. So they can come through at their levels with that PACE system. So give that some thought, or if you know anybody going down that path, it's available throughout all of Australia. Just here in South Australia, you do have to keep your child enrolled in school. If it's a private school, you do not have to pay the fees of the private school. They just enrolled there.
So that brings us to an idea of actually creating something for teachers within the QMS. And we could collaborate a group of teachers that have lost their jobs. I think I was talking to Graham about this the other day, and it does take some work, but it isn't impossible. We could do it within that curriculum for now, but then look at changing that as we grow. And once we, have those numbers to take over that whole voting population, then that's something that we could do. So it's just an idea. And this is what these meetings are for. It's for us all to play with ideas and to talk together about and to come together. That's what it's about, for us to build the policies together for the people, by the people, and have the things the way we want rather than the way they want, and the things that they want our kids to learn. Because I don't know if a lot of you agree, but there's some things that they're learning that I just don't even understand where that's going to take them in the future. So, and even learning our real history, for example. So that's something that I would like to be involved in. And we're looking for volunteers to come and help in the education, facilitate some groups to have those discussions and see what we can come up with. So if any of you are teachers, put your hand up and come and help us form these groups, and maybe we can help more children learn from home and safe from, if you believe in the shedding from the vaccinations or whatever. I know it's a concern of mine, and I have had conversation with my son last night. It ended up in tears. So because they are missing out on the interaction with their friends. So that is a big part of it. And it's sad and it's hard, but for me, I'd rather take the risk. Not take the risk and just wait a couple of weeks, right, to see what's going to happen, because I know a lot of the teenagers did get vaccinated during the holidays, and it's just, in my head, it's like, what do we do? So, let's play with some ideas and start talking. And like I said, that's what these are for, these meetings.
Just on home education, what people may not be aware of is that in the mid-70s, Australia was the 4th highest educated country in the world.
Wow.
Right? As of 2019, out of the OECD 43 countries, Australia ranked 41st, with Romania and Turkey were the only countries that had a lesser standard of education than what Australian had. Now, when you think about the education system, and you look at the curriculum and you look at the work that the children bring home from school and the way it's worded and the word structures and the concepts that they have to work through, clearly it is, for a lot of the kids, it's designed to put up a wall in front of them so high they can't jump over it. And it's clearly written in terms of university intellectuals that understand the terminology and stuff that they're talking about, but it's not easily understood by year 7, year 8 and year 9 kids at school, unless they are in the upper 1 percentile of the classroom. So what we find happening is that the way the education system is structured in Australia today is that if a child falls behind in a subject, they are then made to feel of a lesser intelligence, which then rolls over onto their better subject, and they slide backwards a lot easier than what they used to do years ago, where the teacher would actually come and spend one-on-one time with them. So what I put to people is this: do not think for 1 minute that you do not have the capacity to teach your children. If you've got access to an already set curriculum base, and you look back on how you were educated and what you actually learned, you would do a far better job of teaching your children than what's happening in either primary or secondary schools in this country today, because it is designed to keep Australia dumbed down. Now, that's a terrible thing to say. And the reason why our education system has been dumbed down and set for failure is because, think about democracy, right? Now, here we are talking about a very, very democratic system, right? Now, think about this. Democracy will work exceptionally well if you have a highly educated population. If the population has been taught what to think and not how to think, what you will find in your democracy is you will be ruled by the lowest common denominator, not the highest. And so when we look at how people are behaving today, it's easy to see the result of our democracy falling down, because people have forgotten how to think. They were never taught how to think. And this is why our education level now is so low. We have to educate, bring up a whole new realm of educated people, being our children and grandchildren. And we have to educate them in a way where they have to think. Don't do it for them, make them think. Once they learn how to think, then they can learn to question everything, not obey everything.
It's kind of like a lot of us are doing now, having to learn to critically think for the first time in our lives. And that's what our children are not learning in the current situation of education, I feel. Yeah, it's interesting. We do need more volunteers. So, you know, that's what we're looking for in these Zooms, and also in health, in the health system. We also need some volunteers in that area. We have got quite a few. We need to start some meetings like this. Myself, I would love to see, I'm a nutritionist and a health and wellness coach. I work on frequency healing, and that's the way the future, as far as I'm concerned. And it's actually from the past, from many, many years ago. It was already a thing, and it was taken away so that we were, you know, pushed into the pharmaceutical world, and there we are, we're stuck there, and with addictions and all kinds of things. So it's so important that we refresh the way that we think of health and understand that, you know, big pharma doesn't need to have that control anymore. Yes, we do need some medications, but not like it is controlled now. And there should not be anywhere near as many people on insulin and suffering with diabetes, and it's all to do with nutrition. And for me, I would like to have a big part in that, to you know, rewrite the health system under Medicare, So holistic remedies, and, you know, bring Medicare in for those natural health practitioners as well is important. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, you know, put your hand up. Let's talk and get involved in those meetings as well. Graham, do you have anything to add as far as, you know, groups that we're developing?
Yeah, there's groups for all aspects of life in there. So we've got one for elderly people in aged care. We've got them for young people. Basically, you know, there's a group for economy and finance. There's one for the justice system, one for law restructure. They're basically, you know, health is an obvious one, and education is another one as well. They're all there. We've got groups set up. We've got people starting to join them, and they're collecting quite a few members. What we really need is people to step up with us, who are self-motivated, have a bit of an understanding about how to manage people and work with them, and help by getting involved with those groups and actually manage them so that they actually turn into something of value. At the moment, we've got lots of people volunteering, but we need people to actually help us utilise those people properly so that we can get the various aspects of this coming together. Not just in policy, we also need people to work with us on the QMS, various aspects of marketing, videos, radio programs we'd like to put out. It's building awareness and bringing the people in is what's key at the moment, as well as creating that policy or policies. So the more people we get on board, the more diverse range of ideas that we will have. And of course, within those people, we'll find experts within fields that have a lot to give. So, and that's what this is about. It's about everyone that's working on this. Nobody gets paid. Everyone's giving their time to it. And what we want to do is give the people of Australia their voice back in a safe system that they can use to determine the policies of their country. We'd like to see it go worldwide one day, because without government, we'd never have another war. Governments create wars, not people. So, yeah, that's what
Graham, can I, would it be appropriate that I sort of chime in with a little bit of constitutional stuff for that?
Of course.
Anybody interested in anything to do with the Constitution?
Yes.
Okay. Look, I'm not a Wayne Glue. Wayne is the preeminent name in constitutional law. Wayne Glue can recite this book by heart, chapter and verse, right? And it's easy. It's only 1,000 pages, so I don't doubt that he can do it. But Wayne does have a photographic memory, so we'll let him get away with that one. But this book was actually, again, taken out of our education system back in '76. Most people today, young people today, do not even know that we have a constitution. They know America's got one, but they don't know that we've got one. But what they don't know is our constitution has been, around the world, it's recognised as the most magnificent legal document of the modern era. And one of the things, well, there's a lot of things in this book, but what you may not know is that in the preamble, which is, I won't go through how it all works, I won't bog you down with that sort of detail, but in the preamble, it's giving an explanation of how the meaning of the words within the Constitution. And our Constitution actually starts off with, whereas the people of New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Queensland and Tasmania, humbly relying on the blessings of Almighty God, have agreed to unite in one indissoluble federal commonwealth, right? So then it gives about a page description of the meaning of the word whereas. How did they come by that word whereas, right? And then they go into a page and a half, a bit over a page and a half, of a definition of the people. What does that mean? Why are the people in here, and in what capacity? And what I'd like to read to you, and if you've got a pen, you can take note and look this up. It's on page 286. Now, you've got to be understanding that there's two constitutions. There's a red one and there's a green one. The green one was produced by the criminal government that usurped this constitution and took 9 sections out of it, and then altered some other sections to suit themselves. Like in 1986, they took the penalty for treason, it was death. They put it down to 5 years jail. Why? Because they knew they were committing treason when they altered it. All right. So if it's a green constitution, it's not real. All right. So this one here on page 286, they're talking about where does the power lie in this country? Who has the power? Where does it sit? What is it? Right. Now, it talks about the power would be vested in perhaps the state constitutions. And the framers of the Constitution say, well, this opinion approaches near the truth, but does not reach it. Now, please listen to these words. For the truth is the supreme, absolute, and uncontrollable authority remains with the people. That's you. That's your neighbor. That's all of us. We have the supreme, absolute, and uncontrollable authority. Now, the government over the time have conned everybody, made them think that they have the power, right? They do not have the power. They have force. As we've seen in Victoria, they can use force, but you have the power. All right. Now, if we go on and we look at this, has anybody got a family trust or know about family trusts, how trusts work? No? Okay, not a problem. Let's go back and have a quick history lesson. In the old days for the Crusades, off we go. Pauline, you're off to war in the crusade, okay? And you're going to leave all your family silver and jewels to your very good friend in trust until you return. So you've got to look after the jewels and the silver. Now, trust law says, you can't spend it. No, you can't diminish it. If you can, grow it, add value, but do not diminish it. Because under trust law, if you breach the trust, it says, woe unto he who breaks the trust. All right. Now, you don't want to go where woe is, right? Woe is a bad place. All righty. So under trust law, let me get up here. Oh, I'm losing all my bookmarks. Sorry, guys. That's 116, 128. I need 128.
That's
up
the
here.
Procter and Gamble one, isn't it? That you're reading through Procter and Gamble.
No, this is the Quick and Garant.
Oh, sorry, Quick and Garant.
Yep. Okay. So under trust law, we have to understand that if anybody is put in a position of trust and they break your trust, they can be held accountable at a very extreme punishment. All right. Now it says here in section 128, now on this Constitution book, that's on page 988 if you want to take notes. And it's right down near the bottom, and it's about the alterations of the Constitution, how we have to have a referendum, and the government's ignored all that. But anyway, it says here, now listen to this, a constitution is a charter of government and is a deed of trust containing covenants between the sovereign community, that's you are the sovereign people, right? And its individual units, that's each of us individually, right? And those covenants should not be lightly or inconsiderately altered. have you ever seen the government break your trust? Have they sold any land to the Chinese? Have they sold water, power, gas, ports, anything? They have diminished our common wealth that is held in trust by these people. When you understand what they have actually done to our magnificent landmass called Australia, then you look at what they're doing to the individual units, you and I, our children, right? Every inch of what they've done, they have breached our trust millions and millions and millions of times. And what will happen is they will be held accountable, not just by this law, but by international law on crimes against humanity. So please understand that you being here and the feeling you have inside that something's wrong, it's not right. You may not be able to put your finger on it, but you just know that something's wrong. It's been wrong for decades. You know in your knower that it's wrong, but you just don't know why it's wrong. You know the mandate for vaccines is wrong. We know all that stuff. We know slamming borders shut is wrong. We know all that, right? But there is so much breach that they've done with the Constitution. We never had a referendum to change our currency. They stole our money and gave us fluff back. Our money was based on silver. They stole all that and gave us literally fairy dust for money because it's not backed or braced by anything. That was in 1966, right? And so after 1966, from that point on, the government lost, and the government's never been sovereign in this country, but the term is sovereignty. The government lost its sovereignty when it took on private Rothschild money. And from that date forward, it can never, ever return back to legitimacy as a government. It is only a corporation, and every aspect of what you do with the government is contract law. If there is no contract, there is no agreement. Sorry, we're out of here. And you cannot be forced to contract. So this red book is the most powerful legal document in modern history. And it's yours. It was written for you, and it's not difficult to read. People go, oh God, how would you ever read that? It's simple because it's written in ordinary layman's terms. Really is. Anyway, that's my little contribution on the Constitution. We'll wait for Wayne to come and give a more in-depth reading of the Constitution.
Did you know Wayne reads a chapter of the Constitution every single day?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He keeps up to date with it, and he is brilliant. He knows the thing inside out. And
he does. Yeah. Yeah, he's brilliant. So, yeah.
Were you going to introduce Michelle as well, Penny? I'm not sure if she's going to come in.
I'm just going to ask Tim quickly. So how does that apply to the QMS? Can you explain where will we start as far as the Constitution with the QMS? Are we bringing natural law into it? Is it being changed? Like, can you explain a bit more?
Okay. With the Constitution and the QMS, the Constitution says it's an indissoluble document, right? It means it can't be dissolved. It can be altered through referendum, right? Now, I'm not saying everything in this book is perfect. It is not, right? So for the imperfections, if anybody's going through it and they go, well, okay, look, again, I'll give you an example. Right now we have a Governor General, right? Dr. what's his name? Hurley, Colonel Hurley, right? He's our Governor General. People think the Governor General was appointed by the Queen. Does everybody think that the Governor General is appointed by the Queen? No, we got some smart people in the game tonight, right? No, the Governor General was appointed by Scott Morrison. Mates games. We have not had a legitimate Governor General since 1976 or before 1976, but in 76 they put the letters patent into the archives. So we're never going to have a Governor General ever again appointed by the Crown of England. It's never going to happen, right? A number of, whoops, sorry guys, that was my fault. For a number of reasons is that I'm not going to go into tonight. So we can then change the Constitution that the Governor General could be appointed via referenda of the people, because after all, he will be sitting in the highest office of the country for the people, not appointed by his mates. And so the QMS could run that referendum in a heartbeat, bang, everybody vote. We've got Bill Smith, Harry Jones, and Margaret White, right? They're our three choices. Here's their bios. Here's what they've done. Here's who they are. Here's all the skeletons in their closets. Who do you want to vote for? Who's going to be your Governor General? Now, it might be none of them. We'd have to go again. It doesn't matter, because it doesn't cost the QMS millions and millions and millions of dollars to run a referendum, as it does today for the government, the way it works. So we could vote on a Governor General. Then we would have a legitimate Governor General who could swear in a legitimate parliament, or whatever that body is going to look like, who could also then swear in a legitimate judiciary, because right now we don't have one of them either, right? With the Constitution, there are protections within this Constitution that the government just hate, but they're protections for you, and they hate it. But what we could do is we could build in more protections via referendum, via the QMS. We can take out the weaknesses and put in more protection for the people, more control over those in public office. And one of the things that would happen to those in public office, they would never, ever again, ever get a pension for life of the size pension they get. They can have a pension, same pension you get, same pension everybody gets. Right? We want people in there who care about the country, not about the bits and pieces that come with the game, all the bloody side graft and secret handshakes and everything else. We're not into that, right? So the QMS has the ability to turn this brilliant document into an absolute force for the people, and which would then set us up that never, ever, ever again in the history of mankind would this sort of mongrelizing of society ever happen again. But that's on you. That's for you. And look, there's only a handful of us on here tonight, right? I understand that. But you know something? History has never been determined by the masses. The masses are just the masses. History has always been determined by a handful of people that have the right heart, the right amount of courage and conviction of what is right in the world. And they have stood their ground in the adversity of everything that was thrown at them. You go and read the story of Joan of Arc. 15-year-old girl, farm girl, led a rebellion against the government. Now, all right, didn't work out too well for Joan. She got killed. They killed Joan, right? But what that rebellion she started overthrew the French government of the time and gave back France to its people. Now, please don't get me misunderstood here. I'm not asking anybody to go out and become a martyr or anything like that. That's not the point of the story, right? But really, it is, you think of the Americans when they went against the British Crown, right? The guys who wrote the founding document of the Constitution of America, Every one of them, there was only a couple of handfuls of them. There was about 30 of them, I think. Every one of them stood to swing on an end of a rope had they failed. But they won. Why? Because they were right. Because they should never, ever, ever have to suffer under the hands of a tyrant ever again. No man, no woman, no child should ever go through what Australia is going through ever again. This is genocide that makes Hitler and Rommel and Himmler and all these people, makes them look like kindergarten picnic teachers. Never again in the history. If Australia falls under this, the rest of the world's buggered. Now, I'm looking at the names and the faces here, and I wish everybody would just for 1 minute switch on their camera. I want to point something out. If you could just switch on your cameras, please. I want to show you something. Come on, switch on your cameras. There we go. Oh, look at the faces. Here we go. Come on, Kathy, switch on your camera. Where are we? Susan, come on, switch on your camera. Where are you, Linda? Come on. Johnson, there you go. Good on you, mate. Good to see you, man. Look at that. See, another man with a good good beard going. Good on you. Anybody else? Come on, switch on your cameras. Well, maybe that'll do. Let me explain something to you. I don't know whether you can see what I see. I see brave women standing up, and the men somewhere are absent for the great majority of them. And I can tell you why you are here. You are the maternal mothers of this country. They're your children. It's always the mothers who fight hardest for their children. Don't get me wrong, the fathers fight too. But it's the passion that runs through the heart and the veins of the women. And when you girls really get arced up, when the fire starts burning inside you, nothing stops it. And God help anything that gets in front of you and your kids, because if somebody wants to come between you and your kids or your grandchildren, I can tell you what, they are coming off second best, because you are the force. You have the authority that they don't have. You have something burning inside you that no legislator can put out, no mandate, no boffin with a mask on his face or her face sitting there saying, oh, we've got to do this and we must do that and we've got to get out of the road. Mother and child are coming through and we will not be stopped. I'm excited to see so many women here. I'm excited to see the guys too, but I'm excited to see the women, because it is the passion of the women that will drive this. Logic of man is good. The force of man, the muscle strength of man is good, but it's no match for the heart strength and the passion of the women. Ladies, thank you. Thank you for fronting up. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring enough. Now it's your job to go out to your girlfriends and to your family, your sisters, your brothers, your cousins, your uncles. It's your job. I can't do it, right? Graham can't do it. Girls, it's your job. You're the networkers of networking. You're the ones that get your girlfriends to do all sorts of dumb, crazy things all your life. Now it's time to get them to come and do this. Now it's time to ask the question, well, do you trust the government? Well, no. Well, come with us. We've got something. Come and have a look at this. We've got something. We've got something that we can then vote, and our vote will count. How many of you have written letters to some muppet politician and got no reply? Anybody? Give me a wave. Yep. Okay. How many of you have written letters to all sorts of people, sent emails, done everything by the dozens and got no reply? Me too, right? Listen, that does not work. This will work. Mm-hmm. But the only way this is going to work, girls, is if we bring everybody with us? Can you talk to somebody, anybody, about, hey, look, we've got this QMS thing, and imagine this, a voting system that we can do on the phone or on the laptop, and there's and I use this as the example, right? It's only an example. This is not what we're saying is going to happen. This is just an example. But can you imagine there's a vote on taxation coming up, and the taxation system can stay exactly as it is, or you can wipe out all personal income tax, or you can wipe out all taxes and have a 2% input tax into the bank and a 3% output tax. So you pay a total of 5%. Every company does it, every person does it, and it's a max of 5%. What would you vote for? Well, I'd vote for the 5%. Right. Okay. Imagine if everything we wanted to change about Australia, to get rid of the corruption out of politics, to get rid of their pensions, to do this, to do that, we could all vote on the QMS and we would literally be heard. Our voice would count. Come with us. Come on, come with us. Get your friends to come with us, because truly, it is your passion that's going to drive this. It's the love of your blood that's going to drive this. Truly it is. So that's me for now. I think I've said enough.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's what was the first thing I wrote in the chat tonight, was how amazing is it to see all these ladies here tonight, because that's the first thing I noticed. And had a conversation also with someone else earlier today about, you know, if I didn't have 2 teenagers right now, I don't think I'd be so strong.
Yeah.
You know, it's them that keep me strong and sane and just empowered to keep moving forwards with this, and to step up and say, Graham, I'm here for you. You know, I'll help you do this, because I see it the only way around this absolutely manipulated system. And even Gladys going, everyone's getting excited. I'm like, oh, no, I'm not excited. You know, this is just a trick. And I was holding my breath. I'm like, well, hopefully I can get excited soon, but I really don't think that I can. So I'm going to continue doing this and try and bring 5 people every week. Tim says that all the time, bring 5 people every week, but go for 10 so that 5 come. And, you know, tell them that there's a platform here also within this. When you join the QMS, there's a platform that you can use. You can use it for a business platform. There's a social media platform there that's, you know, away from Facebook and all the things that are being watched right now. So, I mean, everything else, but probably less. And like I said, it's a community of like-minded people. And look at all us women here. Like, we could do so much just as women. We could, you know, I'm doing posters around the town to put up in the shops to say you don't discriminate, you know, and we'll make a list of all those traders that we will go and then support and promote those businesses. There's so many little things that you can do, but at the same time, talk about the QMS. Right. So there's interactive sort of things that you can do, and also go to stand in the park, speak to your community. I talk about this every week. It's so good because I've reached so many people about the QMS at the stand in the park. And I know it's hard during lockdown, but we're still going tomorrow. And we've got one lady doing Tai Chi, right? So that we're all going to look like we're doing Tai Chi and we'll be 2 meters apart. I mean, there's always a way around it, because the police can't arrest us. We might look silly, and I don't think she really knows that much about it, but we're going to act like that's what we're doing. And like, you do what you can do. Or, you know, one week we might meet down at the beach, the far end of the beach where the camels are, and, you know, go for a walk there. And there's lots of people walking on the beach. Some of them will have the yellow T-shirts on, and people ask, you know, well, what's that? So I'm talking about the QMS. I'm using that to do that. And also reached out to the organizer of the Stand in the Park, Brady Gunn, met with him yesterday in person, and he's happy for us to reach out to the groups nationally and utilize those people to get this message out. He thinks it's amazing what we're doing. He can't come and join us because he's on bail. Like, he can't do any meetings, nothing. They arrested him. So just for standing at the park. It's the way it is, you know. So, you know, we've got to get out of this ridiculous situation. It's just crazy. I don't know, like Michelle, I want you to talk a little bit about what you're doing and the QMS and, you know, as a mother as well, you know, how are you going with all this?
Just jump in for a second before you do, Michelle. Sorry to interrupt in between, but just want to quickly jump back to what Tim was saying about the Constitution before as well. What we're doing is lawful. It's political expression, which currently is not unlawful in Australia. It fits within the framework and boundaries of the Australian Constitution as it is. And the Constitution is a lawful point in time that we can prove the corruption of the government and the incorporation of it. So there may be, there's 27 million people in our country currently. Better ideas may come forth as time goes on, and the platform's designed to put those, those voices and those ideas out in the public. A really great idea at the moment isn't going to go anywhere because A, we don't have the money to do it, B, we don't have the political standing to do it or the reputation to do it. And lots of people have wonderful ideas, but they just can't do anything with it in the current environment. So this is our chance to give our people their voices back so that they can actually design the policies, so they can actually be part of the development and see them in a transparent system that we really believe is of, for and by the people. So I know that gets bashed around a bit at the moment, but it's only in unity that we actually can win this and come through it together. And the more people we can bring in together, and we talk to all the other groups, well, as many as we can get to, and we've got great relationships with them all. They're all aware of the QMS now. There's a lot of information going out around Australia and the world for that matter. We've got interest in New Zealand and America and the UK. I know of those for sure. In fact, we've got the exclusive rights to Australia and New Zealand on the app that we're trialling at the moment. And I mean, they've given us $5 million worth of software development in an app to use for this. It's amazing what we're bringing together, to be quite honest. And you know, I wrote the original document, but to actually see it coming to life in the way that it is, and the people that are gathering to help build it, and the networks that it's generating, the teachers, all the educators, and oh, by the way, with the groups, you don't have to be a teacher to join the education group. If you've done homeschooling with your kids, if you've got a teacher in the family, if you went to school and you feel you had something to add to it, join the groups, get involved, get into the discussions, because the greatest ideas don't always come out of where we think they'll come from. And what we want is the diversity to actually show through this, so that many people coming together will have more ideas than a small group. And at the moment, we're led by small groups who tell us how to live and what to do. And to be honest, most of them wouldn't even come up to the average IQ range from what I can see. They're not very bright or nice people at all. So they're there for money, and we understand that. There's a lot of money in politics. You do backroom deals, you get a pretty good wage, you get a pension, you get your staff, and then all the benefits that go with it. I mean, great cushy job where you don't actually have to do anything except speak a load of rubbish and lie to people and basically make sure you get re-elected next time. And other than that, it's tape. So I want to see these people gone as much as anybody here. I'm not about overthrowing anyone or causing a harm or injury to anything. That's not who I am, and that's not what this system's for. This system can totally replace them, can make them completely obsolete, and that's what I want to do. Is let's move with the times. Let's use the technology that we've got. Let's stay within the lawful framework that we already should be operating within, and let's create something better. And that's what I believe we've done here, and we're getting closer to the final stages of actually, the next stage really will be running a referendum. We need to finish putting the system together, and it's very close, and we need to test it, which we're in the throes of doing at the moment. So it's actually quite an exciting time. And again, as I mentioned before, we'll have a lot more announcements on that next week. I was hoping to have some this week, but we're just still getting things sorted out in background. And unfortunately, things don't happen as quickly as any of us would like them to. But I know the creators got our back. I know that what we're doing is what the creator wants. I get many signs, and the people, I wouldn't have you guys with me if it wasn't for what's going on. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a beautiful time to be alive, even though it's horrible out there and there's really nasty people, and it's not fun to go shopping anymore. The streets are empty. It feels strange, but I personally don't mind that. I actually don't like big crowds, and I don't mind having the ability to drive on the road without a lot of traffic on it. And I like going shopping when there's not a lot of people there. So to me, it sort of works in my favour. But I can't go and have a drink at the pub with my mates. I can't go and hang out and have a party somewhere. You know, I can't go where I want at any time of the day or night without expecting the police to pull me over and ask me for my papers and what I'm doing and give me the third degree. And I'm not living in a country like that. This isn't Nazi Germany. This is Australia. And this is my country, and I'll fight for it as much as anybody here. But I tell you now, I'm not afraid to fight and die for it. I'm not afraid to protect my child. And these people don't scare me. I mean, honestly, if you met them at a pub, you laugh at them. If you met them at a cricket match or a footy match, you laugh at them. They're just useless. And if they were really working for you in a business, and I don't know how many business owners we have here, you'd sack them very quickly. So when they've got their hands in the till and they're doing deals that do not benefit the business they're meant to be working for, or they're abusing your clients or customers, they're gone. And that's what these people are doing. So thank you. But anyway, Michelle, you need to come in and introduce yourself. Michelle's been a good friend of mine for a while now, and she's part of our steering team also. I know she doesn't like going on camera that much, neither did I started this, but I'm getting a bit better at it. But go for it, Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I have an 11-year-old boy, and in relation to what Tim was saying, I have pulled him out of school. I'm now homeschooling. And luckily, it's not as difficult to do it here in Victoria as it is in South Australia, apparently. I'm also looking forward to, like, since I found out about the QMS, I have been so excited that this is the way for Australia. This is the way to give the power back to the people, and I will work to the death to make sure that this comes about for the future of my kids, my grandkids, and anyone else's kids and grandkids.
Thanks, Michelle. That's great. Yeah, and honestly, I know Michelle's son, and he's a beautiful kid, and no, she's a great mum. Yeah, you're an amazing mum, Michelle. Thank you. Sorry, Ben.
Can I ask Magic to talk as well about what she would like to do, because I know you're in the health team. So, and you haven't spoken before, and I'd really like to hear what you've got to say.
Thanks. Sorry, hope I make sense today. It's been a rough day. Okay, so what I do is natural health. So it's like what our grandparents were doing. So everything that comes from the earth, that comes from the trees, that comes from the dirt, comes from the water, comes from the sky. So I do use supplementation, but based on what comes from nature. So for example, ivermectin, everyone goes crazy about it. Well, there's a simple tree that comes from. So that's what I do with my clients. I look at systems of the body rather than the symptoms. And I think we need to take the health team back to that. So I've just put up a post that I think we need to split this into separate sections. Health is such a broad topic that we really need to be exact with this, because this is people's lives. You know, I'm not downplaying education or anything like that, but health comes back to your life. So we really need to split it up and be really directed and targeted with how we approach that. That's something the current government has not done for a century, since 1925, when the word doctor became a trademark. Before that, doctors were teachers. So every teacher in every village was called a doctor, till the Royal College of Surgeons changed it in 1925. So we need to go back to being real doctors, real teachers. And as I said, we need to split up with the health team, subject by subject, frame by frame, how we're going to help the people, how we're going to re-educate them to listen to their bodies, how we're going to re-educate them that health doesn't have to be expensive, how we can teach them that, you know, your kid gets a bug bite, you go outside and you rub some clean soil on it. No, it's not going to affect it. The natural bacteria will fight off any viral cells that are coming to the skin and increase the white blood cell flush. So it'll get rid of anything. That's what my grandmother did to me, and that's what I think we need to take it back to. So that's me. I'm a mum of two boys on the autism spectrum, mum of two very elderly cats, one sitting right here. Graham, he likes your voice when he hears you, he comes and sits here. You know him too. And yeah, look, today was a tough day. I think we all need to rally. I've had my silk, as you can see, I've been crying all day. In my spare time, I do wildlife rescue, and I got told today I can no longer rescue until I'm prepared to put my life literally in someone else's hands. And so that's not about the animals, it's about control. And so I spent the whole day getting a rebel rescue team together, and I actually drove 2.5 hours across Melbourne to meet with some carers face to face to say, will you still take animals that I rescue? And they said yes, because it's about the animals, not about what's under your skin. So that's a little bit about me. I'm not always this messy, but it's just, like I said, been a long day, but everyone hang in there. If I can, you can. And like I said, we need to get this health team really going and take it back to what our grandparents knew. And most of us, well, many of us, not most of us, many of us have grandparents that came here from another country, and going to the doctor and getting a needle put in your arm was not even known. Now, my grandfather was a compounding pharmacist. He compounded all the medications for the Australian Army in World War II and beyond, until he retired when I was born in 1972. And he retired because he wanted to be with me. He would be rolling in his grave right now. If he could see what medications were, if he could see what was happening today, yesterday, the past 18 months, he'd be horrified. Sorry, that's it.
That's okay. Thank you
So,
so much, Magic. I mean,
Magic.
you're amazing.
One of the things I just want to chime in here, if I might, all of us emotionally get smashed from time to time. And, you know, we can put on a big brave face and we can do all that sort of stuff. But some days, as in Magic's case, you just get rolled over and it just crashes in on top of you. One of the things that I've lived many lifetimes. I think I've done that many things in my life. I probably should be about 200 years old, but anyway, maybe I am. But one of the things I've learned to do is I was the first master practitioner for EFT in Australia, the tapping, right? Now, sometimes we forget, for those of us who know about tapping, we forget to tap when we're hurting the most. And particularly, you know, when you're trying to sleep at night and the world is rolling around inside your head and won't shut down, you can tap on various different points and go, even though I find it hard to sleep, I now find it easy to sleep. It's easy to sleep. I now find it easy to sleep. And we can tap to overcome the emotional issues. And if anybody's not familiar with tapping, what I would suggest is go to good old YouTube, type in Gary Craig, C-R-A-I-G, Gary Craig, basic recipe, right? And Gary Craig, who was the creator of EFT, he will walk you through that process of the very basics of how to do it and what to say. And trust me when I tell you that the emotional weight will just drop off you. The stress, the anger, the frustration, it doesn't matter what it is. Magic in your, I would say a lot of it is the sadness of not being able to do what you, this sadness that I'm feeling, this anger that I'm feeling. And if you can point it at a particular situation or angry at a particular person, the pointier you make it, the better results you'll get. So folks, if we we can look after our bodies, and magic, thank you for that, right? But if we don't look after our mental and emotional state, we will crash. I cannot tell you how much tapping I have done in the last 18 months. Some days it's just to stand upright.
Exactly right. And I teach other practitioners the PNEI of trauma, so the psychoneuroendoimmunology of trauma. And so today I have been covering myself in essential oils and doing my tapping and confronting people that needed confronting and looking after myself. So, that's what I teach people as well, because if you don't take care of what's up here, you're right, Tim, it happens everywhere else. And that's what we're seeing in the world today, is people that are having things taken away from them and they're ending up sick because their neural system's breaking down, then their endocrine system's breaking down, and it's resulting in an immune response. So definitely I agree, tapping is brilliant, and I will be doing that straight after this call, and I've been doing it today.
Graham, would it be out of place that perhaps if anybody in the group's interested, I'm happy to do an EFT session one night, or even Monday being a public holiday, we could do it on Monday afternoon or something like that. If anybody's interested,
how about because I do the support group on Wednesday nights, can you come and do it then?
I can this Wednesday night. Yep.
Yeah.
If you send me the link, that would be good. I can be there.
So every Wednesday night, guys, 8 o'clock, 2 hours, we do a support group just for anyone struggling like this, with emotions, and we just share and talk. Last Wednesday was amazing. The conversations we had were so incredible. And everyone came off really uplifted, I think. And we had some deep conversations, we had spiritual conversations, and everyone just really felt supported. But also the tapping, I'm learning about this as well at the moment, Tim. So as a wellness coach, but there's also the immune system tapping too. So if you just do 3 fingers from the Adam's apple down, and then if you just do tap here like 10 times, it will kick in the immune system.
Yeah, it opens up the thymus.
Yeah. So there's all these little tricks. So it'd be really good to have that on Wednesday. Yeah.
One of the things is, just to give you a little heads up and a quick head start, all right? If you're really angry, right? If you've had a upset word with friends, or, there's been a disagreement, or you're really angry at a circumstance or a situation or a person, on the lower part of your knee, on the inside of your leg, there's a meridian in there that's called your liver meridian. Doesn't matter which side, left or right, it's all the same. On the inside of your knee, just on the bottom of your knee, on the inside, that's the meridian. And you tap on there and, I'm really angry about this, or I'm really angry about that person, or whatever. The reason that there's a lot of old sayings that work, that have essence behind them. Have you ever heard the expression, "Oh, you've got shit on the liver"? Right? Well, when you tap on that meridian point, it drops the anger down considerably. And trust me, anger is one of those emotions that if you carry it too long, it leaves you in such a place of dis-ease. You are not at ease, you are in dis-ease, which leads to manifesting disease. Anger and unforgiveness are the 2 most toxic emotions. And you've got to let them go. You just got to let them go. They don't even know they've pissed you off, pardon me, but you're angry, you're carrying it all around, it's upset your day, your night, you can't sleep. No. Tap on that on the inside of your knee. Give that a run for a couple of nights and see how you go. You'll sleep like a log.
I must say too, a friend of mine had extreme PTSD recently, and I put them on to Tim, and she's been helped quite immensely with what Tim showed me with the tapping and the issues that she was dealing with. So having had some personal experience with PTSD myself, it's not a pleasant thing to deal with. So for that, I appreciate that you were able to help there. Might also mention too, Magic. I refer a lot of people to Magic. I know Magic personally, as she mentioned earlier. She has got a heart of gold, and honestly, she's helped that many people over time. And any time a friend gets sick, or people currently don't trust the medical system, they don't want to go to doctors and hospitals. As soon as they start talking about that, there's my end. I throw Magic's name in the mix, and with a beautiful name like Magic, it's not a hard name to remember. It's a pretty simple one. I give them Magic's details, and they connect with her, and Magic's helped a lot of them. So again, thank you, Magic. I appreciate that. So that's, yeah. So yeah, as I say, there's a lot of information out there that people just don't know. And if it's put through a system like the QMS rather than the one we've been through, because of the transparency of the system and the testing and measuring process that everything has to go through, and the fact that we get to watch it all go through that process, something like the vaccine wouldn't, I mean, assuming that we're all correct, because I am open to the fact I can be wrong in anything too, but I'm pretty sure I'm right in what I believe around the vaccine, shall we call it, or this will probably get the bots looking for us and keeping us off, censoring us. I shouldn't say that word too many times. But if we want to get rid of it, or if people tried to mandate it, we'd have the truth about it all the way through. And this is my point, that with this type of system, only the truth can exist at that level of creating the policy. And for instance, if someone tried to lie in there, or tried to use a process that wasn't the truth, then another expert's going to pick it up and point it out to us, and they can. So it's not just relying on paid experts. This is volunteer experts and people who want the best for their country, who want the best for us, not people who are just trying to feather their nest and fill their back pockets with our money, which is what, as most of you know, 99% of big pharma's about, and what our politicians are about. So Penny talks about little pharma. We can have Australian pharma too, real pharma, but it doesn't have to be pharma. We could have a real healthcare system that's actually about health, rather than drugging us up with petroleum byproducts, which is what 90% of this rubbish is. So yeah, I mean, look, some things may have their place, but if things are properly tested and walked through the system, we know exactly what has its place, how it works, what it does, and what its benefits are. So, and that's the idea of building a system like this. We can have that every decision we make, from monetary to education and health, and even global, trade and things like that. So, relying on just a few people to do everything right, that's a mistake in itself. And when those people are part of a two-party system that calls themselves democratic, and yet doesn't hear from the people that it represents, it's no longer democratic, and it's no longer of the people. So it's a corporation. And once it's a corporation, it's about making money, and that's all there is to it. People at the top don't need to make money. They're usually there because they got plenty. They went to the best schools. They went, they had the mates. They had the ability to do that. And yet some of the best brains never even completed school. They developed on their own through various things. So education's wonderful if it's the right kind of education. And currently, most of what we churn out in this system is rubbish. And it's not meaning that the people are rubbish, because it still churns out good people, but what they know is rubbish, and we all know that. So anyway, I'm going to hand back to Penny, and I think we might start the Q&A.
Questions? Yeah. I can see Magic and I need to have a really long conversation, because we could just go backwards and forwards with these suggestions all night. Just educating medical students that nutrition is actually number one, like seriously, from birth. And none of these vaccines, obviously, there's a lot of conversations we can have about vaccines, and that's for another time. But would anyone else like to ask a question or talk about anything?
Yeah, pop your hand up if you'd like to come in. There's a little button down on, it's under reactions. If you put your hand up, we'll bring you in and you can ask your question. And if you want any one of us to answer it, ask specifically, or one of us may, or we may all add something if you'd like us to. Anybody?
No questions. This is great. Would anyone here like to volunteer to join some of the groups and get involved in discussions?
Gee, we've done a good job if we've got no questions coming in.
Yeah.
You can look on our.
Shy. Don't be shy.
Hi, Penny. It's John from Melbourne.
Hi, John. How are you?
I'm actually happy to join the groups and help in any way I can.
Beautiful. So what's your background? What do you specialize in? What's your skill?
Huh.
Can we say it here?
Yeah. I'm just, I'm called a conspiracy theorist, as you know. Like, every time I try and tell people what's really happening, they, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, 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 this and that. But no, I'm pretty educated sort of on like banking, financial stuff, cryptos, stuff like that.
John,
Not really good in law or, common law. I'm not really good in that, but when it comes to money, I'm pretty good in stuff like that. So
what's the best way right now? Where would you tell people to put money, or say we wanted to start funding for this? What would be your best advice to how to do that the best way that, the government's not?
There's a couple of things around it too. We don't want to put it through as a corporate entity. We want to try and do it within the private rather than as a corporation or anything like that. And we're looking at possibly a common law type foundation setup. Is there anything that and I'm in Melbourne too, so maybe you and I can get on the phone and have a chat and maybe meet up and discuss some of this. But we need somewhere to land donations soon, because
Where in Melbourne are you, Graham?
I'm based out in Ferntree Gully.
Oh, well, I'm in Warrandyte, so I'm just, I'm pretty, probably 15, 20 minutes away.
All right. Well, if you want to privately send me through your phone number in the chats down below, or if you've got contact with Penny or Michelle, they've got my number and they can pass it to you. I'd love to catch up and have a chat fairly soon.
Yeah. I can't tell you sort of right now. I'd have to think about sort of a foundation and how we can do it. But I will get in touch with you, and we can organise to maybe catch up or even a phone call, and we can discuss it and work it out.
Sure, that'd be wonderful. Look, just so people understand, nobody here stands to make any money from the QMS. That's not why we're doing it.
No, I completely understand that.
Cool. This is about developing the app and also some marketing that we need to do in order to get to the next phase, which the next phase is the referendum. So if we're going to have that referendum, we need to let everyone in Australia know what we've built. We need a way to do that. And that's marketing, unfortunately, as much as I hate the corporate the words. But yeah, and we do have a plan to run the referendum. It's sort of, we've got actually a very, very interesting plan to move this forward very quickly.
Do we need a certain amount of members in order to move forward, or?
That was our original preference, was to try and build a democratic with the platform that we've got. The thing that we're finding is that there's a lot of distrust, especially within our movement. We do get mainstream people coming on and joining it, as well as movement people. But when you're putting something like this out, it takes a little bit of time for people's trust and understanding of what it does and what it is to get out there amongst the public. So really, when you think about it, this has only been public since I think I put it out in February that I published it publicly. So and then it's had a few ups and downs along the way where we've marketed more than others and things like that. So we're still building the audience, but there is when I say that, over 30,000 people visited the website. I'm not sure what the actual member numbers are at the moment, but we are getting a fairly, if it was a business selling where you only get one in 100, we're getting a lot higher than that.
Yeah, well, I think I've brought in about 20 people. So I've actually shared the management system with quite a few people and on my social networks and family. Obviously, not everybody will come in, but I've managed to bring a few people in, so that's good. If we can all do that, if we can all bring in 5 people and they can bring in 5 people, well, it's going to spread like a wildfire.
Yeah.
Everyone in Australia would know in no time, and yeah, like I think it's 10 days. We'd have pretty much the entire Australian population would be know completely about it and have joined.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
ultimately, that'd be wonderful, but what we really need is 61.5% on the referendum. We don't necessarily need them on the platform for that. The platform it was originally, and that's what we set it up for originally to create. And it can still happen that way. But we've also got some alternative ideas around how we can do this and bring it forward a lot quicker as well.
Graham, can I just jump in? There is a little bit of news come through that will accelerate our growth. The federal government, the Australian Electoral Commission, have just announced that they will be using Dominion voting machines at the next election.
What?
Oh my goodness. It just doesn't, I think they've been using them for a while anyway, haven't they?
Well, yeah, but now it's official, apparently. And so if people didn't trust the government before, now all they've got to do is understand that whatever the election is, if they go ahead with that, is here comes Australia's version of Joe Biden. Once again, his name is Scott Morrison.
I feel like this is a bit of a reveal coming on, don't you, in a way? Like, I really do. And if you're bloody stupid if you don't know about Dominion by now. And it's just more, either it's that or more gaslighting, which is ridiculous. But
or even at the protest just recently, there were QMS cards that somehow got into the hands of a couple of tradies and were handed around with that. And I know we had a few members come on through that as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people, look, we've done polls and it's 99.98% of people don't trust the government from what we've found so far. So, I mean, to me, the referendum, once the people are aware and enough people are aware of it, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion as far as I can tell. But of course, I can't foresee the future and I can't tell what everyone's mindset's going to be. Some people do feel they need to be led. And they're the people that we really are going to have to convince in this that they need to step up and lead themselves. They need to stand in their own space and live to their own truth and just be whoever they are. And that's essentially what we all need to do. And
well, KR said in the comments they are selected, not elected, and that to me is so true. I strongly believe that voting gives us the illusion that we have a say and we have a vote, but in reality we don't. And as George Carlin put it, it's one big club and we ain't in it.
Who's developing those policies? Do we get any say in that? And when you vote on a party, it's for whatever 10 policies they may be putting forward. They say, I've got these wonderful changes we're going to make, and you might want 4 or 5 of them or 1 or 2 of them, but the rest of them you may not even understand because it's not transparent. Everything's coded in legalese rather than in the common language to make it even more complex for us. We need a simple system. We need something where the people have transparency, where we actually can see why they're developing it and how they've developed it and who developed it in order for it to come forth. And that's the important part in any policy. The way they do it now, we just get a stack of rules given to us and we're expected to live by it. By 9 million pieces of legislation. I doubt anybody in Australia has all of those 9 million pieces of legislation in their head. I'd say not even laying glue, but if anybody could come close to keeping track of that or at least interpreting it, I know Wayne would be the man, but that's crazy. So we've got.
Wow.
Well,
pump me up, Tim. Like, now's the time. You just pumped me up. Now's the time. Like, let's go and market this like big time,
So, the more, this is what I did on my video. I don't know whether anybody saw it or not, about gathering the evidence, right? There's that much evidence out there of the criminality of all these people and the lunacy, there's just no end. Like, it's true, there is a limit to genius, but stupidity has no limit, right? And we're seeing it play out every day unfortunately, most people are succumb to it, right? But for those here and those of like mind that aren't here, this just gives us more coal to stick on the fire, to fire us up, to get
More ammunition.
Oh, absolutely, John, absolutely. And do you know, a friend of mine had a slight issue with one of the government directives. They went to court, and they said to the magistrate, they sent an email into the magistrate before the court. They went into court at 2 o'clock, and they started giving the magistrate the 12 presumptions of court. And the magistrate said, "So I suppose you want me to stand down?" And they said, "Absolutely." So anyway, the magistrate didn't stand down. The proceedings carried on. And at the end of it, the magistrate could not hand down a finding. Could not hand down a finding. Why? Because they'd already pulled the rug out from under them under the 12 presumptions of law and nullified the magistrate, right? So these people, they're starting to understand that we know. And this is why they're panicking so hard. This is why they're going so hard, because it's all coming to an end, and it will come to an end. Right?
And it's not only the politicians going hard, Tim, it's also the mainstream media is really putting the foot down with the indoctrination, I'll tell you.
Well, yeah, and Channel 9's the best at it, right? Why? Because under Peter Costello, who is the ex-treasurer, Channel 9 have $1.8 billion invested in Pfizer.
Wow.
So the reason they've got Scotty Cam and all these guys out there doing all this stuff is it's an advertising program to bolster the share price.
Well, our premier's a drug salesman now, the drug pushers, you know. Get the jab. Dan Andrews doesn't post every day promoting it. I mean, honestly.
I told my kids, every time you go out to a club, don't you take experimental drugs, and now it's being advertised full time.
Yeah. Well, Murdoch owns most of GlaxoSmithKline, which is Pfizer.
Yeah. So, you know, the wheel goes around and around and around and around, right?
They're not big pharma, they're drug dealers.
Yeah, all of them.
I'd rather be hit with a rusty needle from a backyard junkie.
Well, I just want to make
backyard than this rubbish they're trying to.
I'm just going to make a picture of Biden and ScoMo and then write Dominion across the middle of it.
Yeah.
A good message or what?
We've got Marina there. She's been waiting to ask us a question. Sorry, Marina. How are you?
Marina.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm loving it. Keep talking.
Thank you.
I'm new to the QMS. I got introduced to it by the adorable Penny, and I don't know Penny. I haven't met her personally, but I feel like I think we're connected somehow. I'm not sure. Probably a past life, but I connected and I reached out to her, and we're on groups and we type away and ask each other questions and stuff. So, but I have seen Tim at all of the Adelaide rallies. I'm at all of them, and I think the last couple I came up to and I asked if I could give you a big hug, and I did. And I didn't see you at the last. Oh, and I did. We're outside of Channel 9, and I was going to come up to you, but I didn't. But if I can offer my services with you, Tim, I'm happy to do stuff with you. I'm happy to join any group with Penny, or I'm here to help however I possibly can. This is me. This is what I'm all about. I'm about my kids, kids, and I have been a very strong believer, and I've been screaming it for the last 3 years, that people power is far greater than any damn government. And I feel that we don't need millions of us. We just need some honest, true warrior people that strongly believe that we can make a difference. And
we need an irate minority.
Absolutely.
If we lead with love and the truth, we do.
Absolutely.
So, and that's what we're trying to do. So it's about building something based in love and the truth. And look, it's got to be secure, but love is secure. The truth is also secure.
Absolutely.
So, And that's where I'm coming from. I know everyone that's involved in this is very heart-based. I know Penny's like that. She's got a beautiful heart. Michelle is too, Tim. These guys, it's a great team to work with, and same with the other people. Ross is a fantastic guy as well. He's been very involved in bringing the app in with us. And we've got some other announcements next week. I just don't want to prematurely give names out, but there'll be some interesting developments on the next meeting. I think you'll enjoy it, and I think we'll be you'll see Wayne Blue next time. He told me tonight too. So yeah, we're pulling the team in tighter now, and things are a lot better than ever before. So I think much bigger, diverse team and bigger range of people in it and types of people and that sort of thing. So
Graham, could you just run through again? We've had some people come in late. Explain exactly how you want us to explain what the QMS is, very briefly.
Oh, well, look, everyone's got their own understanding of it, but it's basically a direct democracy system of the people. It gives us our voice back. It allows us to develop policy and to have transparency in the policy that we're developing. So basically, anyone can propose anything, be part of adding weight to that. Once it hits certain numbers, and that may vary somewhat across different areas, but we're looking at that at the moment too. Once it hits certain levels, it will go into expert development and testing, which means that people from that field of that policy who volunteer their time and have been vetted to make sure that they're not in there for the wrong reasons, their own personal benefit of any kind or anything like that, will actually then be reporting that information back onto a news feed that will be available for all Australians to see, so they'll get to actually watch all the meetings they have and all the proposals for how they're developed. So someone comes in and says, I've got an idea, they're going to see them do that and why things are developed the way they're developed. And they'll get to any scientific testing or measuring will be done also in front of the people. So it won't be just the government saying, we had this expert over here say this, and that's what you got to do. We'll actually know why we have to do it, if we have to do it. And it'll be developed by the people. The concept is we'd use common language rather than legalese. Obviously, you know, I see life pretty simply. I think if you don't do any harm, you don't take what's not yours, and you make amends for any accidental damage that you do, then I really can't see, you know, people needing much beyond that. But yeah, sometimes you've got to get down to the brass tacks with people and say, yeah, doing harm is, and make sure that people understand what that means. And that should have really been done in our education system, if that's the case, and around our constitution and things like that. So we've got a beautiful country full of beautiful, intelligent people. Most of them are totally underutilised, totally. And this is our opportunity to bring forth. And even there's a lot of people who think they're stupid in this society who aren't. They've just been told that all their life because of the difference in the way they see and think. I know I've been one of those people. I've copped a lot of that throughout my life. Just because I've seen things of truth and things like that that other people don't notice or don't want to see more to the point as well. So you talk about being a conspiracy theorist, John. I've been one of those my entire life as far as my closest friends and family are concerned. And, you know, some of my closest friends and family are no longer part of my life. And now I've got much better friends. And
I think there are a lot of people out there that actually know, Graham. I think there are a lot of people that actually know. But because the truth hurts so much that I don't think they want to go there, and I don't think they want to destroy their beliefs.
Well, nobody knows how to change things too. Like when but everybody considers democracy as the pinnacle of human policy development. And unfortunately, the version of democracy that we currently have isn't a democracy at all. It's a two-party political system. And
it's an illusion.
Yeah, we live here in Australia. We're living under, essentially, they call it admiralty law, but it's also convict law. They've never changed away from the convict status that the original ancestors of many of us who came here on those convict ships had to live with. And instead, they've actually created chains around us even further. I think some of those convicts had more freedoms back in that day than we have now. So look, we've got to take the country back, and we've got to do it in a peaceful and loving way. And the best way to do that is with something that's constitutional, lawful. And the only way to bring a government undone, so to speak, is to take your will away from it and take everyone's will away from it. And if we all take our will away from it en masse and put our will into something like the QMS, or even if there's a better direct democracy system, and if there is, so far I've yet to be shown, as far as I'm concerned, and that might sound like ego or something, but I don't care. It's just the way I see it.
All we have to, I personally think that all we have to do is to stop complying.
Yeah,
Simple as that.
We can, but we don't want society to break down either. We don't want to get into a situation where, I mean, I'm actually an anarchist in many regards, and I like the system of anarchy. But if anyone looks into what anarchy means, it's not a scary way to live at all. In fact,
No.
People treat each other right. There's still laws and rules within any society, regardless of what type it is. And even within anarchy, if you're operating in a common law situation, as long as people are decent in it, I actually see that it's a good way to live. But again, not everyone can live that way, and a lot of people don't understand what the term anarchy actually is. So they see it more as they've stolen our language too, so that now words that we say no longer mean the same thing. You're all citizens, part of the citizenship program and part of the Admiralty law, they tell us, right? But we're not. We're people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even the judges, lawyers, barristers, they're all literally bought and paid for.
Absolutely. It's about making money. And that's what all the systems develop for. Keep us on the bottom, keep us underfoot, keep us broke, because broke people to them are
and keep us dumbed down.
Yeah, well, that's another aspect of it.
Exactly.
Can't make money. Money is the power in this world at the moment. The more money you have, the more powerful you are, is the way that most people see it. And that's absolutely rubbish. The more love you have, the more powerful you are. But people don't realise that. They think that they've got a bit of love in their life, and that's fantastic. What I mean is self-love, and then love for humanity and unity. And that's far more powerful than any money you'll ever put in the bank, because that brings the people around you, that brings the family around you. So, and that again has been part of my experience through this. It's about, I mean, we can all sit in a problem and we can worry about a problem, and we can sit there and be scared because there's something really terrible heading our way. Or we can find a solution and get out of its way and create something to block it or stop it or move it, so that it's no longer going to destroy us. So it's no longer going to, injure, damage, whatever. And that's
another trick they've got, Graham. They create the problem, they see the reaction, and they come up with a solution.
Absolutely. And yeah, absolutely they do. And they've done that for a very, very long time.
Problem, reaction, solution.
Yeah, well,
that's why they create all the wars.
That's market.
That's right. All wars are bankers' wars.
Yep.
Commercial marketing tactics, like you do when you're selling a product. It's like, if anyone here doesn't realise, Bill Gates was, he was a software giant before he was a pharma giant.
Correct.
If you look at the two business models and you look at the computer software viruses that were released in the late 80s and 90s, when we were all connecting up to the internet and getting our computers going, maybe it was a bit later than that, but we didn't have antivirus software to begin with because we didn't need it. In fact, Apple doesn't have antivirus software because they never went down that path. But if you use a PC, which Microsoft-based equipment, then you've got viruses. And the reason you have viruses is because they wanted to create a market. They never had to do that. We never had to have computer viruses, so they made them so they could sell it.
Well, Bill Gates done a TED Talks video a while back, and he said on the camera, I want to reduce the world population by 15%.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, that's been going on for.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the reset and the.
Yeah. 70s. CBDC, central bank digital currencies.
Exactly. So yeah, it's look, we're here, right? whether people were blind before, whether people saw and couldn't do anything like me, that we're here now and we've got a line to cross over. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to say, well, I've drawn a line in the sand, and anybody who'd like to cross that with me.
Which I've been trying to do the same thing since 2015, you know, I've lost friends, I've lost family as well, like you know, but, you know, I stand by the truth, and the truth sets you free. And, I want to have eternal life. I don't want to have a life with illusions and lies, and, you know.
I'm answerable to my creator, and that
Amen. Amen to that.
Self and creator, and the creator is always going to have to be first. So, you know, and at the end of the day, that's people ask me what law is the QMS based in. It's not actually based in any law. It was given to me in downloads. It took me 20 minutes to write it down when I was finally in a position where I could clear my head enough to see the concept clearly and understand it. It's over 30 years, I had bits of it coming to me, and I never really understood what it all meant. I never followed politics. I never voted. I tried to stay out of the system as much as I could because I saw what it was when I was a child. But yeah, it's now. Here I am at 50. We can finally make a change. The environment's right. The people are right. Everything's primed. We've got the truth coming out. The light is shining through.
And there's a mass awakening happening globally now, which is a great thing.
Exactly. So if we bring people into the QMS, and that's the beauty of it, people don't even need to be awake to what's going on when they come into it, because to them, if they already don't trust the government because they pay too much tax, or they copped a fine because they parked in the wrong place, or for whatever reason it may be, or they may have upset a cop in an argument, and coming from personal experience, that's not a clever thing to do, but it's easy to do too. Once you're in that position and you've lost your trust in something, your faith in something like that, there's no way you can change it apart from trying to step out of it and replace it. And with the level of corruption that we've got within all our systems, now is the time to say, right, we scrap them, we start new. There's good things in them that we might decide to keep, but there's a lot that needs to go, and probably 95% of it needs to go and 5% remains. I don't know what that would really be, but that's up to the people to decide as en masse, and that's up for them to be educated along the way, because democracy is great when you have a highly educated, and Tim said this before, if you've got a highly educated public, democracy is great. But unfortunately, the form of democracy in the two-party system is never going to work. And when they dumb us down at the education level in our schools, and then through the policies by not providing any level of transparency or accountability, where do we go for recompense? What are you going to do? Right to the Queen? Like she cares. You know, like we're in this position where if we the people are the only ones that can do this and change this. And it only takes a few to head in the right direction to begin with. And then all of a sudden you find a horde, and then everyone's following you. So it's, I guess, if people see that we're heading in that direction, and people see that we're standing in our truth and living our best version of our own lives, and that we're building something very worthwhile altruistically for the people, or of the people, for the people, and by the people. And I keep using that term because I think that is a good way to describe what we're doing. It's pretty much a no-brainer to me. It's only those that really want to be led that may feel insecurity about that.
So as members that we all are, and other people that obviously aren't on the call tonight, what can we do, all of us, from this point on?
Yep.
What can we do to sort of
Bring
help speed up the process?
Okay, well, the key thing is bringing people in and getting awareness out. So have the political discussions with them. Stay away from the stuff that we all know within the movements that we're associated to, and that, because that puts them offside. You can talk to them about fracking, taxation, how the medical systems let people down, how the premiers have let people down, and the Prime Minister. There's plenty of other examples of political ineptness and corruption going on that we can pull out. There's the pedophile suppression laws, right? There's all of that absolutely shocks the hell out of people when you bring it forth to them, right? And they're things they'll identify with because they've seen them on mainstream media. So if you pick mainstream media topics to approach with them, you'll find that, okay, yeah, I don't really trust the government. And when they do that, and once you've got, I don't trust the government, well, would you be open to a direct democratic system like the QMS? And then tell them about the QMS, that it's a system where they themselves can be the ones proposing policy and building on it, and they can even become part of the expert team if they'd like to volunteer their time to do it.
Okay, so just for now, basically, to let people know about QMS and what we offer and what we will do moving forward.
Yeah, and encourage them to join and watch what's going on and become part of the community in there, because where the ideas come from. Yeah.
Yeah, because I want to help. We all want to help, obviously, and we want to help however we can. You know, like to obviously speed up the process and bring about this, bring about the demise of this corporation, that and bring back what rightly belongs to us.
It's about engagement and people actually standing in their truth and doing what they do best. So if everybody does what they do best and engages, and we all support each other and unify, we can do this very quickly. And I really believe that. Yeah.
And as I said before, like if we can get 5, get them to get 5, get them to get 5, get them to get 5, and so on, we'll get there in no time.
Absolutely.
And we're going to do some videos soon as well. And, I was going to go live today, but I might save it till tomorrow and actually, just sit like you did, Tim, the other day, and talk about this and really, put the questions out there. Curiosity posts are really good as well. It gets people talking. If you guys are into marketing, anything, you'll know that. If you want to use social media, use a question so that then you'll fill up your comments, and then you go and talk to them privately on Messenger. And then, even if they're local, meet up with them, sit down, talk to them one-on-one, ask them to bring 5 people, get to know your local community, talk to your neighbours, go to stand in the park, ask the questions, like, do you trust your government? And and if we do video, if you guys want us to do videos so that you can share them out, does that help?
Well, you guys can do them too if you like. If
anyone can.
At any time and talk about the QMS and share the video with us, we'd love to have it,
We can do Facebook Lives, YouTube videos, anything.
Yeah, I mean,
anything.
Remember, we're not a political party, so we can't go make promises to people. What we're building is a tool. But this is the one thing that we can, if we get the people on board, and when we get enough, we will free ourselves with it. And I shouldn't say if, because it's there, everything's there. We've just got to get the people and the will of the people into it, rather than if they continue. Wouldn't it be great if next election none of us voted? We had the QMS operating by then, and there was no need to run the next election process. Wouldn't that be fantastic, just to not have to worry about that again? Just to get on your phone or your computer and vote on policies there. And wouldn't it be great to have the media where they're not controlled by the government and corporations anymore, where you can fact check them yourself as your average person can just go on a website and fact check what they've said about a particular policy if they're putting it out there. Because honestly, we know what the media is like. And we can hold them accountable, those that have lied so far. But that again, I don't care about the accountability stage of it. I care about freeing us and giving us our voice and getting us to the point where we can build this country to what it should be, rather than what they've done to it. So at the end of the day, the people will create the policy. That's what we've got to be careful with. We just can't make false promises. But we can show them, like Tim does, use examples of what you could do with it. Because that, without promising that's what we will do, it's got to be a case of, you've got to be very clear that that is what we could do. So, if enough people are aligned with it, because at the end of the day, it's the masses that decide. We've just got to educate them enough so that they're going to make the right decisions. So,
correct.
Us educating, that's the experts educating. It's nothing to do with the QMS team. It's just the app they can use to do it on. Just to qualify that, in case anybody's thinking that I have any plans of political position. I'd make a hopeless politician, and I can't manage myself fairly, so I wouldn't want to manage this country. But I can give you the tool to do it with that. So,
all these politicians and police, they've forgotten 2 words: public servant.
Exactly. When you take people, money, and a perception of power, you've got corruption, and that's right down through the police force. It starts at the top and it comes all the way down. And that's going to be the case in anything that happens. It happens in business.
That includes AFP as well, I reckon.
Absolutely, every level.
Yep.
So, I mean, look, I've spoken to federal police who've told me it's their job to protect the pedophiles. I mean, what?
Oh, God.
And I said to them, so who protects the children? And they said there's social services to do that. Why are you protecting pedophiles for? It's just disgusting. They should be removing them. I said to them, it'd be cheaper just to put a lump of lead in their head, wouldn't it? And that's not normally how I'd like to be, promote myself or be seen. But
8 million children go missing every year around the world.
I tell you what, anyone did that to my kid, I'm not going to be a pacifist anymore with that person. I think,
Oh, he would. If anyone done that to my kid, he wouldn't live to see the next day.
no, well, I am a pacifist, but that's something that I would not.
Come on, guys, be nice now. Be nice.
How do we get the police over here? And
Well, that's Penny. That's going to be really difficult because what you're assuming is that the police have a conscience. Now, some of them are turning out to be good in Queensland. 1,200 of them walked off the job. Well done to those guys. And they are decent human beings. But you have to understand that the requisite to become a police officer in the last 5 years, the psych evaluation has changed dramatically. Right? The psych evaluation to become a police officer is not good, right? And the compassion has to score low on the psych evaluation, right? There's very, very interesting things in the psych eval. So you're trying then to get the people who have not got the compassion in their heart to come in the direction that goes against their innate way. That won't happen, right? It'd be nice, but for the majority, it won't happen. I think you'll find that we'll find a few more in Victoria it'll come across. Here in South Australia, we're fairly fortunate, whereas the police commissioner has protected us from 4 lockdowns because he's told the premier and the health witch that unless they come to him with absolute and total science and irrefutable evidence, he's not going to lock anyone down, right? And the premier gave him the authority. So the premier made a boo-boo from that perspective. So we've been fortunate to a degree here. What we have to understand is people that, and I know you all know this, and we want everybody to wake up and see what's going on. The reality is they're not going to, right? What we have to understand is that as it is above, so it is below. Without going all woo-woo-y on you, this has happened before, right? This has happened before in the late 1700s. They depopulated the earth. And they're doing it again. And it is a spiritual, whatever you want to call it, process. And we are the lowest form, the ordinary person. And so we're the most disposable cattle. And those who sit in high places think they can control us. Well, they've done okay up until now, but this has been the greatest awakening of the human conscience on earth. And don't you for 1 minute believe that 80% of the people in New South Wales have been vaccinated. Don't you believe for 1 minute that 70% of Victorians have been vaccinated. Don't you believe that for 1 minute, because you must understand the only thing that these people know how to do is lie and deceive. Deception is their greatest tool. Do not be deceived. And then when the people who have been vaccinated start falling beside you and collapsing and dying, and they're now in, I think it's the Flinders Hospital in South Australia, they're seeing 20 people an hour come into emergency with all sorts of issues that they've never seen before. We will lose a lot. So nobody's coming to save us. The police won't come onto our side because that's the way they're trained. But understand that the conscience of who we are, the harmonic heartbeat of the inner spirit of man, for that of love, peace, and harmony, if we keep focusing on that, it lifts the vibration up, right? Which shuts them down. Now, Klaus Schwab said at the World Economic Forum, the biggest obstacle for global domination is national pride and sovereign thinking. Klaus Schwab knows, and the UN know, that if there is a movement like a Trump movement in the US a couple of years ago, that national pride, that independence, that is the biggest block to the one world government. Here in Australia, that's what we need to do on steroids. We need, I don't know about our national anthem, it's been mongrelized a bit, but the Seekers, we are, you know, we are one, we are Australians. Even, you know, once a jolly swagman, anything that instills national pride. We need to get that humming out there. We need to get it going, get Johnny Farnham pumping. You are the voice. I know he doesn't like us using it for political reasons, but all the more reason we should do it. But anyway, not that I'm stirring John up, but our harmonic must come up. Understand that this has been set in motion 100, 150 years ago. They are well schooled, they are well positioned, but they've bumped into some opposition they weren't bargaining on, and that's you and that's me. We're not going to get all the cops. We'll get some. We'll get some nurses. We'll get some ambos. We'll get some of everybody. And you know what? That's all we need to start again, is just some.
And to move forward, you only need a bit of hope.
Hope is the essence. Hope is the essence. It really is. It's the magic dust. As long as people can see some hope, and this is why we want to do some tapping so as they don't lose hope. But the magic dust is hope. All right. And we know with good people like everybody that's on this call, and there's a lot of people, it's a long weekend, a lot of people have called it off for the weekend or whatever, but that's okay. And having said that, Graham, I've got to go. We've got visitors turning up here in about 5 minutes. So
okay, I think we're pretty good on time for a change tonight, and we will close the meeting up shortly. But
so guys, everybody that's on here tonight, may I just please say thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. I don't know you, but I love who you are. I love what you stand for, and stand with us, and we'll stand with you. All righty.
thanks.
Love you. Good night.
Thanks a lot, Tim.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, can I just say, I had an opportunity to meet with a council worker here where I live in Port Macquarie, New South Wales, and we found out we have an awake counsellor. So I met with her, and we had a Zoom. It was two other people from the Stand in the Park, and she's been fighting against fluoride for 10 years in this council. And so I told her about the QMS, and she was amazed, and she loves it. But she's like, I just don't know what I could do with it. So I'm like, well, just keep it in your mind for the future, you know. And she's like, oh, absolutely. And she would like to probably come and sneak in on one of these meetings soon. But she, again, was away this weekend. So I think that's probably why we've got less numbers today. I don't know how she can go away. It mustn't be far away because we're in lockdown. So she gave that one away, didn't she? Councillors can go away. Okay. So, so she asked me if I'd be interested to approach the police. And I said to her, well, I've actually already got a letter together. And she was quite surprised, and I gave it to her, and she's happy with it. And she's going to deliver it. And it's more about the approach of empathy towards the police, because they're going to be vaccinated soon, have no choice. So we're giving them an out in a way of having a look at something else. And she wants to get involved with that. So I thought that was rather amazing to have a community meeting, and we instigate that, like the old town hall meeting type thing. And again, it brings more of the community in when I can go to stand in the park and tell the people there that something like this is happening, and it gives them a bit of hope. There's that word again, hope. And then to talk about the QMS. So just keep talking. You just don't know who you're talking to.
And don't worry about the police. I had to go into the police station the week before last. I spoke openly about what we're doing, what we're building. They actually think it's a great idea. They say they can't join because they're concerned they lose their job because they're working for the enemy. But that's all right. And look, nothing illegal in what we're doing, and that was a really good test for me, because on that stage when I was explaining to a senior constable about it, and a leading senior constable I might add too, he just gave me a little pat on the back, and I said, would you like to join up and get involved with us? And he said, oh, I'd actually love to, but it'd cost me my job. And I said, well, do you want to show it to some of the boys around the station? And he said, oh, I don't think I will at this stage, but see what happens. But hey, it's going to be at the mainstream soon anyway. They're going to see it soon anyway. And hey, I've been doing this all year. I haven't had a knock on the door for doing this. I have for other reasons, but that's because, you know, I upset people sometimes. But no, that's just me. I stand in my truth, and I am who I am. So I apologise for my mistakes, but I'm when people get upset for no reason, I'll just walk away. So anyway, really loved having you all here. Thank you, Penny. You've done a really great job again tonight. You're such a bubbly person. And Penny always pulls me out of the doldrums when I feel a bit funny. She's in a support group. I really get behind that, support that as much as I can. I'm busy. I can't always make it in, but I do try to pop in and say hi. And but the key here is don't live in fear. Have hope. Got something really good coming. Most of it's here. It's just a little bit of work we're doing in the background before we get back to you guys to test it. We're very, very close, and it's a really exciting time. And I mean, what better way for us to end the year than the truth coming out on everything? Because that's what seems to be happening everywhere we look. It's just amazing, and we've needed it for such a long time. So thank you all for coming again. I love you all, and I really appreciate you all being here and following what we're doing. And please do spread the word. Get out there, your friends, your family, everyone you know. It's strangers. Tell them what we're doing. Show them. Show them on your phone. Show them the app. Tell them that they can make a difference. We can all make a difference together, because it's in unity. And this is my one big go back to. In unity, we'll conquer every single time. And we can do it peacefully and with love. So what better way to bring our country back under the people than with love and truth.
So let's go and tell everyone about Dominion, hey? So we can beat Dominion, because you know that's a big fraud anyway, and they're cheating. So, you know, we've got something to work with now. That's brilliant. Love it.
Yeah.
Penny, I just sent you a message with my number.
Yeah.
Basically, just let me know about the call on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
What time it is, and also if you can pass my number on to Graham, that would be great.
So
I normally put it in the discussions group on the website for Wednesday nights. It's every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I noticed I'm gonna out you, Matt. We've got Matt Lawson. He's just joined us here, and
Matt, do we know you, mate? Good.
sometimes he joins in on Wednesday nights, so you never know. I've been a bit busy lately, haven't you?
Something, Matt, or
I'm taking this number down.
sorry, Matt, are you there? G'day, mate. Good to see you.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, buddy. Yeah, absolutely great to have you. How you going?
That's good. It's kind of cutting in and out. It's cutting in and out for me a little bit, but really good to see everyone. And I've just been a little bit under the weather, but I'm out and about, and should be back up and running in the next 2 or 3 days. I've just taken a bit of time off for the first time in the last sort of 18 months. So trying to stay off the internet, but I wanted to be here to see the meeting and see what's going on.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, I've got a question for you, mate. You know, on the day of the protest, how you in Richmond, how you walked into a fish shop and the guy gave you a free soft drink.
Yes.
That's my brother-in-law, Chris, and you took a photo with my sister Annette.
That was amazing. Yeah, he gave me a free drink, and then about 3 stores down, the guy let me run through his store and out the back door. So
Yeah,
they were really
yeah,
good people in that area.
That's my sister's. That's my sister's fish shop there in Richmond.
Beautiful people.
Yeah, they are. They're great.
You did a backdoor shuffle, literally.
I did.
Well, Matt, if you need help with anything, but I know what it's like to get a bit overwhelmed, and I know, when you're in the public all the time, you can burn out pretty quick. So if you need anything, mate, always speak up. I'm here for you, bud.
Thank you, and I hope everyone's doing really well, like I said, and onwards and upwards. I think there's a lot happening in the background. I'm getting a lot of intel from a lot of different people. There's a lot of truths coming out right now, and just for anyone in Victoria that's on this as well, there's actually an IBAC inquiry coming up right now into branch stacking and everything else in the Victorian Parliament. So I think that could be quite big too. So keep an eye out.
Like I say, there's a lot of big things coming in a lot of different directions. Amazing.
Let's manifest the big reveal. Hey, everyone, come on, we can do it.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm also hearing there's a lot of court cases happening at the moment, sort of around Australia, especially in Melbourne and Sydney.
Yeah, lots of
lot.
ones. I think there's about 20 nationally. So,
I think you find there's 20,000 plus nationally.
yeah, there should be.
I know that Serene's got a lot of cases going. I speak to people that work with Serene quite regularly, and although we don't promote it, Serene does actually support what we're doing, and she's I know Serene personally. I don't.